Welcome students of Thakur Vidya Mandir High School and Junior College. Students, I am beginning on with the second chapter, that is mechanical property of fluids. Today we are going to deal with the part 1, and in part 1 we are going to study about the pressure and the various properties which are related to pressure. Let us speak about first the properties of the fluids. Fluid, as you all know, is a substance which has a tendency to flow. When I begin on with the properties, I could say that it is incompressible. Density of this fluid is constant. The second property is that the flow of a fluid is irrotational. With irrotational, I means that it cannot be hindered. The flow is smooth, there are no turbulences present in that. It is non-viscous. Non-viscous means it is non-sticky. There is no internal friction among the particles of the fluid when it is set into motion. The fourth property which I deal about is that the flow of a fluid is steady. Steady means it goes on with a continuous velocity, and it is called as the velocity is constant with related to time. Let us begin on with what do you understand by the stress. Students, I'm going to talk about the solids in general. If I talk about the shearing stress, as you'll have studied in standard 11, there are three types of stress, that is longitudinal stress, volume stress, and shear stress. Shear stress actually dislocates or disforms the shape of an object. Therefore, the solids oppose this shear stress by developing a restoring force within. Just see the diagram of the shear stress, which you could see is ABCD. When you see with the dotted red line is the dislocation of the upper layer, that is D to D dash and C to C dash. The force which is applied is going opposite into the direction, and the angle with which it has displaced is being represented by theta. So when I talk about if the forces are acting on a solid are inwards, then it becomes a compressive force. If the forces which are going to act outward, then it becomes a tensile force. Compressive force is commonly seen in rubbers or elastic material, and the tensile is seen in the metallic wires or the sheets where it could be beaten up and drawn into wires. After the example of the steering stress, let us move on to the forces acting on a small surface within a fluid. Fluid are the molecules which are loosely moving out apart from each other. There are two examples given out here. In the first diagram, you could see that the fluid is exerting force on a vertical surface. The force is felt inwards. When I take about the example of a fluid exerting force on a horizontal surface, you could see the forces acting vertically upward and downward. So the earlier case was showing you the force acting right hand side and left hand side, whereas the horizontal surface shows you the force acting vertically upward and downward. Let us move on to what do you understand by pressure. Pressure, students, is a property where the normal force, that is a capital F, exerted by a fluid at a rest per unit surface area, capital A, of contact is in pressure. If I try to write down the formula for pressure, it could be written as force divided by that particular area on which the force is felt. You could see in this diagram that in a tumbler or a container, there is a small cylinder. Now this small cylinder is having a height h. There are two mediums, which is air medium and a water medium, and the surface of the cylinder is represented by the area, that is capital A. So if I have to measure out the pressure due to a liquid column which is felt on this particular surface, I would be writing small p is equal to force upon area. My force I have written in terms of mg, that is the weight of the cylinder acting vertically downward. So I write p is equal to mg divided by a. But since I know my mass is nothing but volume into density, I would again write my p, which is equal to h rho g. So my volume again divided by the area, where my area gets cancelled off, and it clearly indicates that pressure is nowhere related to the quantity of area. Let us move on to the two types of pressure. The first pressure that we are going to speak about is absolute pressure. Students, you could see here in the diagram is a tumbler again, where there is a cylinder which is immersed in the water. Again, the two medias, that is the air on the upper surface and water in the beaker. Now when I immerse or dip the cylinder, you could see that there are two different pressures and two different forces felt on the cylinder. The first pressure is given by F1, followed by the force F2, which is nothing but the weight mg acting vertically downwards. You could see both the pressures P1 and P2, whereas it is at a distance of x1 and at a distance of x2, that is the upper surface and the lower surface. Therefore, the force F1 acting vertically downwards and the force F2 acting vertically upwards, the gravitational force acting on the water in cylinder is given by mg. So if I have to write the total force, it is going to be the force which is acting from upward plus an addition of the mg, that is the weight of the cylinder. Therefore, the forces could be written as F1 is equal to pressure P1A and F2, that is pressure P2A. So it can be written as a cumulative summation of P2A is equal to P1A plus rho g, where rho is the density of the liquid in which it is immersed, multiplied by x2 minus x1. So this forms the absolute pressure. Let us move on to the gauge pressure. Gauge pressure, students, is the pressure which is nothing but a difference between the absolute pressure and the atmospheric pressure. There are two conditions mentioned out in the textbook. I am dealing with one of the condition out here. The other condition, you all please refer to the textbook. Here, this condition is showing that the cylinder is on the surface of the liquid. Therefore, the difference between the absolute and the atmospheric pressure is called as gauge pressure. The gauge pressure at a height above a liquid surface is given by small p is equal to P0 multiplied by dP, that is in the air, which we have shown it out here, multiplied by small g, that is the gravity which is felt on the liquid. I hope both the pressures are clear to you all, students. Students, let us proceed now to the last two concepts of the today's topic, that is in the part 1 of mechanical properties of fluid, is hydrostatic paradox. Now, hydrostatic name itself tells you that something is similar or static. The pressure of the liquid column in each vessel is same and the system is in equilibrium. As it could be seen very evidently from the diagram given out here, there are 4 different shapes of the apparatus mounted on one column, where you could see that the rise or the level of the liquid in each is similar. The right hand side figure indicates that is the pressure felt on the column is similar. It does not depends upon the area or the shape of the column. Therefore, this paradox or this theory is known as hydrostatic paradox. Let us move on to the last concept, that is Pascal's law. A scientist named Pascal gave us that whatever liquid is going to flow in a container, when you try to find out at the different levels, the pressure applied at any point of the liquid is transmitted equally and undiminished to every point, provided that the effect of gravity is neglected out here. Now let me explain you the diagram which is given over here is that there are 5 different properties based on this. One is when you see the openings, that is A, B, C and D. Now these are the openings in this vessel, and if I try to find out the pressure at all these 4 openings, let me tackle on with the properties one by one. The area of at the part A is given by a small a. The next one is given by, that is at part B is given by 2a. The part C is given by 3a and part D is given as a by 2. If I try to find out the forces which is being felt at different points on this, it could be F at A, 2F at B, 3F at C and F by 2 at D. Let us go on to the experimental verification of the Pascal's law. when I say that it is transmitted, it means the pressure is transmitted equally and undiminished. I can prove it if I have to prove it on point A. Now, when I write down the formula for the pressure at point B, it is written as 2F upon 2A, that is the force divided by the particular area. My 2 and 2 gets cancelled and I get the formula force upon area. Similarly, when I move on to point C, it is written as 3 force, that is 3F divided by 3A, that is the area at the third point. My 3 and 3 gets cancelled and I get the value as F by A. If I move on to the point D, my force is half of the force which is felt at A. So it is written as F by 2 again divided by the area which is A by 2. So on division of this, what I get the value is going to be F upon A. So this clearly indicates to me that in Pascal's law at different points, I am having the same pressure which is felt, which is F by A. With this, students, we complete all the different topics that is in the beginning of the mechanical properties of fluids. Let us move on to the assignment questions. Students, go to the questions that state the properties of the fluid. Secondly, what do you understand by sharing stress and state its two properties. Third, define pressure and explain what do you understand by absolute and gauge pressure. Lastly, what is hydrostatic paradox? And finally, the Pascal's law and experimental verification. As usual, you all are going to refer your e-textbook, which is mentioned out with the link out here. Carefully make your notes and get through the topics thoroughly. Thank you, students.